Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of the viewers from around the world. This is your host Vaibhav. I welcome all of you to today's session of JForex Indicators Explained, where we will be looking at the properties, the uses, the customization options of the well-known indicator. The name is Commodity Channel Index, which is shortened as CCI. This is a well-known indicator, and if you have been trading in the market, you might even be aware of it or you might have even heard of it. And if not, then worry not. We will be dedicating this session to looking at its properties, how it is derived, and what are its possible uses for us to trade profitably in the financial markets. So let us now head to the JForex 4, the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. Here I have the Euro USD chart in place. I will change it to hourly to simplify the things. And this indicator, the CCI, you will find it listed amongst the momentum indicators, or else you can do a quick search and this indicator will appear. So here we have this CCI, Commodity Channel Index, or you can simply do a quick search, CCI, and it will appear straight away. So here we have it. Now coming to its properties, talking about its concept. The concept is fairly simple. It takes into consideration the typical price over the given time period of the calculation, and from that we subtract the moving average price of the same period, and then we divide that result by 0.15 into the mean deviation. So whatever is the deviation from the average price from for that given calculation period, we take into account that as well, and so that we get this ratio. If the current price or the recent price is above the average price, then we will be having the output of these indicators CCI in the positive territory. If the output is in negative territory, that means the average price of the underlying instrument Euro USD in this case has been in the lower side. The closing price has been below the average price for current candle or the last candle, whichever candle you are looking at. So that's how this indicator works. It takes into consideration the average price and then compares the current price to its average price and arrive at its momentum. So we have these two critical lines. Actually, this is a oscillator and it is a unbounded oscillator. Theoretically speaking, its value can be anything in the negative side and anything on the positive side, but mostly we will be seeing values in this vicinity of 200, 300, or rarely maybe even closer to 500. But that are those are normal values. Sometimes if there is too much of a sharp move, we might even see some abnormal reading. But that aside, the concept is that we have to pay attention to its positive or negative side, and if we have the values on the higher side, then that is indicative of the bullishness, and if we have the values on the lower side below zero, then that is indicative of the bearishness. So that is the classical interpretation of this indicator, and we try to buy when we have the momentum on the bullish side, the output of the CCI is above zero, and we start looking for short selling opportunities when we have the output of the CCI in negative territory below zero. That's how this indicator is going to be helpful while looking for opportunities to trade. So here we have the Euro USD chart, and in current session earlier in the day we had this strong bullish move where we had the CCI crossing even above 100 and staying above 100 for some amount of time, and after that, after the start of US session in particular, we saw these dip in the Euro USD, and eventually the CCI also reflecting the price move dropped below 100, minus 100, and now it is trying to recover as we are seeing consolidation on the lower side. So if we go back in time, you can see that whenever the momentum was strongly on the bullish side, we had the CCI output above zero and on the rise, and when we had the momentum on the negative side, we had this output below zero and negative side. So one way to look for trades using this CCI indicator is to simply consider this zero line as a entry point. You can do that as well. So when we take these into a entry condition, you can set the condition that as soon as the output of the CCI drops below zero from above zero, then you can initiate the new trade, or at least you can consider that the momentum has now shifted to the bearish side, and vice versa. When we have the shift in CCI from below zero to above zero, then that is indicative of the bullishness in the underlying instrument, or start of the trend on the higher side, the bullish side. So that's how this interpretation works. For taking the contra trend trades, you can utilize these values, extreme deviation. So these markers, the 100 on the upper side and minus 100 on the lower side, are usually indicative of the two extremes for this underlying instrument. When we have the values deeply in the negative territory below minus 100, then that is indicative of the oversold condition prevalent in the underlying instrument, and if we have the extreme on the higher side above 100, then that is indicative of the overbought situation in the underlying instrument. And as and when we see these values again starting to converge and crossing above these two critical markers. I think that way also we can take the trades and try to initiate the trades, and both these things are also likely to give you trading opportunities. How profitable these trades will be, then of course that is going to be dependent on the momentum in the underlying instrument. So here we have these two critical factors for determining these overbought and oversold scenario, and for determining the trend we use this zero line as a important marker. So we have both these things in place, and we can then try to trade using these system. The customization options are there. Let me check how much battery we have. Okay, 19%, so it will last for this session. All right. Now, coming to the trading concept, trading strategies using these CCI indicator. As I try to give you some of the examples of how you can utilize these four entries, I think those are classical interpretation. Of course, you can try to come up with unique ideas, the ideas which are likely to work for us and which haven't been explored in this session or anywhere else. You can always come up with some unique solution to the challenging problem of trading in the market. Now, coming to its customization options, let us see what we can do with the customization of this indicator. So here, as I said in my introductory remark, the indicator takes into consideration the average price and the recent closing price, and then compares it to the mean deviation. So that's how we get these indicators values. If there is too much of a deviation from the average price, then we have the extremes reached on the indicators output values, and if we have the underlying instrument trading within the range, then generally speaking we will have the values within the range below 100 on the upper side and above minus 100 on the lower side. So for that, this calculation rate becomes important. The default setup is of 14. Now I have changed it to 24 to look at the last 24 hours of data. So here we have this last 24 hours worth of data being used for these output values being determined, and here we have these deviations and then reversals happening on these chart. All right. So whatever is the time period for customization, you can put it in. If you want to take into consideration 2 days worth of data, then all you have to do is take 48 as the time period when you are using the CCI on the hourly candle period. And if you have to lower the If you simply want to consider the lower time frame data, as usual, you can revert it back to 14. All right. Now coming to the output, we have this plain blue line, or we can style it up. We can go for different color combination, different styling options. You can even go for a bar chart if that suits you better. So we have all these options provided to us. So this is how the bar chart will look like of the CCI. If you want to convert it into the line chart, then you can do that as well. Lines of different types, different parameters can be used. So this is how this indicator will appear when you use a bit stylish line compared to the simple plain line. And here I also played around with the transparency, so we have less prominence. Okay, then coming to the levels, we can set these levels on different values. These are default setups, but if you want to increase or decrease these parameters, you can do that as well. Now if we make it 110 110 on both sides, even we can do that. The styling options are also available to us, so we can change these color combinations. As there is a critical line, we can go for higher width and lower width. So all these options are there. We can reduce the transparency to make middle line more prominent. So now the indicator is going to look a lot more different than what it was looking like in initial of this session. Here, this prominent orange line is the zero marker, and these two lines, pale blue lines, are 110 on the higher side, minus 110 on the lower side. So again, we now go back to restore these values to default. Usually, I even go with the default setup. Coming to the advanced editing options, if you want the output to remain constant throughout the current period, then you have to opt in for that option, and this value will remain fixed regardless of these candles fluctuation. And only when new candle is plotted, this the output value will change. All right. Highlight the time period zone. Whatever is the calculation period, it will be highlighted. So here it is being highlighted. Advanced calculate from custom data. You can customize the calculation. You can use the instrument from the chart, or you can specify the instrument of your choice. The candle period can also be similar as the chart, or you can specify if you want to go for, say, the calculation using 5 minutes of data. The each candle period will be of 5 minutes, and 14 will be the calculation period. Even though the chart is of hourly time frame, the calculation is being done using the 5-minute candle period for the calculation purposes. So that chart will look appropriate for the 5-minute time frame. So this is how it will look. But even if you change it to another candle period, it will be of 5 minutes only. So this customization can also be done. Now I will again restore it back to use from the chart. The side can be ask or bid. There will be a slight difference in the output depending on which side you are using for the spread. The indicator, if you want to be shown on all the candle periods, whenever you change the chart's candle period, then you have to opt in for this. If you have opted out of this, then you will have to specify on which time frame this chart should appear, and only on those time frame the indicator will be plotted. So 5 minutes and 30 minutes is the chosen calculation period for this indicator. But if I change it to, say, for example, 15 minutes or hourly, then there won't be any CCI indicator plotting, as we have opted only for 30 minutes and 5 minutes as the time frame on which these indicators should appear. Now, as I have again restored this option, show indicator on all periods, now this indicator is going to appear on all the candle periods. So that's how this system of customizing this indicator works. I hope you have been able to understand these finer points of how you can take advantage of this indicator to look for opportunities to trade in the market using these CCI indicator. So that's it from my side for today's session. If you have any query or any idea to share, you can write to me in the feedback section, and I will be more than happy to take the discussion forward. For further coverage of the market developments, do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there too. I have also included the link in the bio for these J4X 4 platform, so do check it out. I'll be back tomorrow with no, not tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday. Tomorrow is off, so have fun. We'll be back on Monday with a new indicator, new uses, new explanation. Till then, have fun. See you on Monday. Goodbye.